Hi, this is Dan from Range of Motion talking about an improved method of scaling pull-ups. Using band assistance is a common method of scaling this movement. And what makes the movement accessible to a lot of people is the fact that you are lifting less load. However, it's an imperfect solution. I'd like to propose a different method of scaling the pull-up, which should help to rectify some of these issues. So firstly, the problems with a traditional banded pull-up. What are the issues, the problems that we are trying to solve? A traditional banded pull-up offers a non-linear, variable, accommodating assistance. Because the band is more stretched at the bottom of the rep, it helps you more here and it helps you less at the top. And this effect is amplified when consecutive reps are completed, because a rapid lengthening of the band in the eccentric portion of the lift means that the band is storing elastic energy, which then catapults the individual into the midpoint of their next rep, which bypasses their need to control and initiate the movement. And incidentally, a kipping pull-up has the same effect. This means that from a biomechanical perspective, the muscles involved in initiating or beginning that pull-up don't have to do as much work, while the muscles involved in finishing the pull-up with the chin over the bar have to do relatively more work. So either the band provides too much assistance at the bottom of the rep, meaning the important muscles involved in scapular stability are neglected, or the band provides not enough assistance at the top, meaning the individual is unable to get over the bar. Once again, this means those scapular stabilizers, particularly those involved in scapular depression, are not being trained. These two issues mean that the flexors of the elbow, primarily biceps, are biased towards, while the muscles of the upper back and scapular stabilizers are biased away from. The band gives the most assistance where it's most important to develop strength in scapular depression and retraction. And biomechanically, the band provides assistance which is directly opposite to where the pull-up needs it, in opposition to both the descending strength curve and correct scapulohumeral rhythm. And going from a traditional band-assisted pull-up to a pull-up unassisted with no band uses a different muscular activation pattern. And for both your musculoskeletal health and also the speed of progression of an individual, scaling should, wherever possible, try and emulate the muscle activation patterns of the desired end result. So the problems we need to solve are threefold. Firstly, we need a constant level of assistance throughout the entire range of movement. Secondly, we need to remove the elastic energy component stored in the band on multiple reps. And thirdly, we need to try and mirror and emulate the muscle activation patterns of our goal movement, an unassisted pull-up. And by solving these 3 points, we need to speed up progression towards the final goal, and we need to reduce injury rates. Now, there are other methods of solving these problems, including the use of negatives or eccentric focused training, and static or isometric based training. And although these techniques are powerful in their ability to strengthen the pull-up, they do fall short in allowing the accessibility to athletes who wish to train this movement with intensity or a movement for time, for example, as is often the case with CrossFit. These recreational exercises have time constraints and often either an unwillingness or an inability to add in the extra accessory work that these other methods would involve. So not only do we need a method to speed up the progression towards the final movement, and not only do we need to reduce injury rates, but we also need to do it for a population of exercises who are outcome driven to complete more work in less time. So I'd like to offer up one possible solution which I believe ticks these boxes. For the setup, the individual stands on a box under a pull-up bar. So when they're standing on their toes, they're in a desired position for the top of the rep, either with the chin over the bar for a standard pull-up or with the chest touching the bar for a chest-to-bar pull-up. Then from the top of the box, they measure 50 centimeters up and place a band between the uprights of the rib. It doesn't have to be 50 centimeters, but it does have to be a consistent distance every time the pull-ups are completed, so the load can be standardized and the progression can be measured. And we found 50 centimeters to be optimal. The individual then simply stands on the band with their feet together They lower to a hang and lift their feet the smallest distance possible off the top of the box. They then initiate the pull-up and progressively extend the knees as they complete the movement, so the distance between the feet and the box stays constant. In all of our trials, the ability to stay just above the surface of the box is surprisingly intuitive, and most individuals will pick this up after 3 or 4 reps. The midpoint of the rep is with the chin over the bar or the chest touching the bar and the knees locked straight. Then the end point is back in a full hang with the feet still hovering off the box. This method solves our problems. It gives a constant level of assistance throughout the entire range of movement. It removes the elastic energy stored in the band on consecutive reps. It mirrors the muscle activation patterns of the goal movement, a full pull-up, and it works for a population of exercises who are outcome-driven to complete more work in less time. I don't believe there are inherently bad exercises. I think there are better exercises and there are worse exercises, but I think these exercises exist on a continuum. And to a point, any exercise is better than no exercise. That being said, I hope this alternate method of scaling pull-ups moves us closer to the better end of the continuum and further away from the worse end of the continuum.